Hey guys, welcome to the video. Sorry for the lack of videos last week. I was really ill and I basically was bedridden for a while and had no drive to make any videos. But then I went back and I thought, what better way to come back than with a good old fashioned review. And what I'm going to be reviewing today is Superman Secret Origins by Jeff Jones and Gary Frank. So if the title already doesn't suggest to you, Superman Secret Origins is a retelling of Superman's origin story, and it takes a lot of influence from the Christopher Reeve Superman back in the 70s. We all know how iconic those movies are. They define the superhero genre. That is not a bad thing, because this is one of the most charming Superman stories I've ever read. The book starts off with Clark Kent as a kid, and usually I'm not a big fan of that, like seeing superheroes when they're kids. But you know what, in this story, it actually works very well. It's not just him being all happy and stuff as a kid. It's not just him being naive with his powers and stuff. You actually see his powers develop throughout time and kind of throughout puberty for him. And you kind of see how that impacts him, because if he was like a freak among everyone in his school and he just feels like he can't fit in, he really struggles to make friends. There's a point where he accidentally breaks a kid's arm when he's trying to try out for the football team. It's just like a really kind of tragic childhood he had. And while his relationship with his adopted parents was very well, he had a hard time fitting in school and stuff, and he only had one friend, Lana Lang, which was just kind of good because it kind of gave an output for Clark to talk to, so you kind of had an idea what was going on in his head. I thought it was done very well, and I actually really enjoyed his time as a kid. What I really enjoyed as well is after he came as a kid, you actually see him as a teenager. And in this story, when he's a teenager, he actually becomes a Superboy. And when I seen this, I was a wee bit taken back. I was like, oh no, this is going to be cheesy. But it was actually really good, and I actually really enjoyed seeing him being a teenage Superman, because you see him in the Legion of Superheroes and stuff, like the time traveling ones. And it was just awesome because there's a sequence where he travels to the future, and it was just a really fun story. And while there is this overarching origin story, there's a lot of mini stories within that during his childhood and his teenage years, which I just thought were really good, and I just really enjoyed reading. And it was just quite uplifting. It just had this hopeful mood the entire way, which really works obviously because Superman is a hopeful character. Whenever you're reading, you just have that feeling of happiness throughout, and it was just great. And you also see Lex Luthor as a kid in it as well. You kind of see his time growing up in Smallville, and you kind of find out his motivations to why he becomes what he becomes. And honestly, I really enjoyed that, because I've always liked seeing kind of how Lex Luthor was as a kid, because there's a lot of it's different a lot of the time, but usually is just kind of that narcissistic kid. But I kind of like how in different stories there's always that different thing that pushes him towards being a bad guy. I just thought it was awesome, and it gave the villain a lot of motivations for the rest of the story. And obviously, like I've just said, there's a lot of build up with him his time as a kid and teenager, which I really like, because it makes it so much better when you actually see him becoming an adult and becoming the Superman we know and love. Because when he finally moves out to Metropolis, you've spent a lot of time in this version of Clark Kent. You know what he's like, you know his motives, you know everything about him to this point. So when he moves out to Metropolis and becomes Superman, it just feels that much better, and it's just this big build up throughout the book. And when you get to it, it just has this amazing reveal. Obviously, you know he's going to become Superman, but just the way they do it is just amazing. I don't want to spoil it, but honestly, I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of references to the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, like I said earlier on. There's actually a scene where it's Lois Lane is falling off a building, like in the original movie, and Superman flies up and he's like, "I got you, miss," and it was so charming. I really enjoyed it, and throughout that story, you actually see just kind of how much of a good guy Superman is, which is really awesome, because you see how much it contrasts when he's Clark Kent is. Because when he's Superman, he's this heroic, confident guy who will run into battle and risk his life no matter what the cost are. But then when he's Clark Kent, he's got his glasses on, he's hunched over, he's got a baggy suit on. Whenever he's around everyone, he's really timid, and whenever he's talking to Lois Lane, he's just overly polite, and he's just a weirdo basically. But I really like that, because it kind of shows you because the idea is, oh, it's really stupid how Clark Kent, nobody can identify him for Superman. But in this story, it actually gives a good explanation, and there's actually the glasses that do it as well, which I thought was a really cool kind of idea. I don't want to ruin it, but it kind of gives a lot more detail to how kind of no one recognises him, especially Lois Lane. Hands down, my favourite part about this book is just how stunning the artwork is. The colours are just vibrant, and they're just so bright in the page, and they really kind of give off that hopefulness of the character. And you can really tell, when they drew Superman, you can just see how much it looks like Christopher Reeve. Even when he's a kid, they made him look a lot like how Christopher Reeve would look as a kid. I just thought it was awesome, and it just pays a lot of homages to obviously one of the most iconic superhero portrayals. And whenever you have close-ups of characters' faces, there's points where it does look photorealistic, which I just thought looked awesome. And you're reading it and you're actually getting so immersed into it, because everything just looks so real in it, and everything pops off the page. And I personally love how they made Metropolis look in it as well. However, while this was an awesome story with awesome artwork, there is a bit of a gripe I had with it, and it's actually with the main villain, Lex Luthor. So throughout the story, you see Superman fighting like a bunch of random villains, a bunch of like kind of lesser known villains, and it makes sense because they start attacking Metropolis, and obviously you need to see Superman in action. So it was great for that. But the main villain of the book, Lex Luthor, while I understood his motives and stuff because you see him growing up, when he actually becomes the Lex Luthor we know, it just kind of seemed a bit dull in my opinion. I just feel like he doesn't really do much. Like he just kind of comes across as like a typical shady businessman, and I feel like with Lex Luthor, there's this presence. Like I mean, he's in a room, but I just never kind of got that from this version of the character, and that's just my opinion. Like other people might love it, but personally, I just wasn't a huge fan of this version of the character at all. But I feel like when we seen him, he was pretty good, but it's just I feel like we didn't get enough of him to actually like enjoy this villain. If you get me, like there just wasn't enough. He wasn't doing enough to actually be like this guy means business. He just kind of showed up every now and then, but I just kind of wish we got a lot more of him, to be completely honest, because the book doesn't get a sequel because it is a standalone story. But yeah, that's like my main gripe. I just wish we had more time with Lex Luthor. But on that note, this is still definitely an amazing Superman comic. I highly recommend you guys check it out because I feel like Superman just doesn't get a lot of love these days. And I feel like everyone's like, oh, he's too overpowered, but they just haven't found the right Superman story because he's one of my favourite characters. So definitely check it out. And if you have, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. If did you like it, did you not like it, or do you plan on checking it out after this review? And also, if you haven't yet already, be sure to check out my other videos. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and also subscribe to my channel for a lot more comic book content. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in the next video.